Okay, great. So let's go get ahead and get started. Folks will be trickling in, and that'll be okay. My one request is that you folks make sure that you are muted during the entire session. At the end, I will be answering some questions you may have, but feel free to throw them into the chat as I go along, and then hopefully I answer your questions. So, welcome everyone to the Research Experience Fellowship. Today is the first information session that we are hosting to discuss one of these recognition and funding opportunities here at Europe. One thing to know is that the application deadline for the Research Experience Fellowship is on Monday, November 3rd at 11:59 p.m. And for whatever reason you need our contact information, I do have it listed below here. I have our office location, which we are located on the site in the Science Library on the fifth floor. Our website, which is europe.uci.edu. And if you are interested in following our socials, we are also on LinkedIn and Instagram. Cool. So, what is exactly the Research Experience Fellowship? The Research Experience Fellowship is an opportunity for UCI undergraduates engaged in UCI faculty mentored research projects or creative activities to receive recognition as a Europe Fellow. Again, the application timeline for the Research Experience Fellowship is November 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. And folks will be notified if they were awarded the Research Experience Fellowship by December 12th, 2025. I do also want to let you all know that these dates might be subject to change, but we will always communicate these changes to you all in advance. And another thing is that if you are participating in the Research Experience Fellowship, your research must be conducted during fall 2025 all the way to summer 2026. Some of you folks might be wondering what is a Europe Fellow, which is one of the reasons why folks apply to REF or the Research Experience Fellowship. And as a Europe Fellow, you will develop valuable academic, personal, and career readiness skills that will prepare you for your future. Employers have identified that there are 8 core readiness skills or competencies that help equip college graduates to successfully transition to the workplace. I'll go ahead and list all of these competencies. So the first one is career and self-development, communication, critical thinking, equity and inclusion, leadership, professionalism, teamwork, and technology. So, as you folks are preparing to navigate your journey at UCI, or maybe it's your last year at UCI, we want to make sure that you have the skills so that you are successful beyond UCI, whether you're intending to go to graduate school or going into the workforce. We want to make sure that you are prepared. So one thing about being a Europe Fellow or applying to our research and recognition and funding opportunities is you can also get non-funded awards, so beyond money. So one thing that we are introducing this year is we are going to give folks who are a Europe Fellow benefits. One of those include a free research poster for the UCI Undergraduate Research Symposium. In addition, we will be giving you all a graduation cord that you can proudly wear when you are graduating. You will have the ability to use the Europe Fellow title on your resume, on your LinkedIn. You will also have access to the Europe Fellow resources and community. You have the opportunity to apply for needs-based funding, which I will go into a little bit later today. And one thing that is new this year is that if you are a Europe Fellow, you will now have access to the Europe Travel or Publication Award. This is a change, a new change from years prior. Before, the Travel Award was accessible to all students, whether you were associated with Europe or not. This year, moving forward, in case things change or not, as of right now, the Europe Travel or Publication Award is exclusive to Europe Fellows only. And these benefits are effective for any Europe recognition and funding opportunities beginning fall quarter 2025 and forward. So if you did receive a recognition and funding opportunity in the past, you will not be eligible for these benefits unless you are awarded in the upcoming cycles. So again, if you received REF last year, for example, unfortunately, you will not receive these benefits unless you apply for this quarter or any other quarters moving forward. Who can participate in REF? So we welcome all current UC Irvine undergraduate students engaged in UCI faculty mentored research projects or creative activities being carried out between fall 2025 and summer 2026, or until graduation, whichever comes first. So we do recognize that some folks do graduate a little bit early. So whichever one comes first for you, that is the requirement that we are asking for. All applicants must be enrolled as UCI degree-seeking undergraduate students through at least winter quarter 2026. You must have a UCI Academic Senate faculty mentor guidance. You must be in good academic setting. This is a 2.0 GPA or higher. And again, you must be engaged in UCI faculty mentored research projects or creative activities being carried out between fall 2025 and summer 2026 or until graduation, whichever comes first. This all goes to say that if you are doing research outside of UCI with someone who is not a UCI professor, unfortunately, you will not be eligible for the Research Experience Fellowship, as well as if you are a visiting student from another institution, if you are not degree seeking at UCI, you unfortunately are not also eligible for the REF. One super important thing is that if you are awarded the Research Experience Fellowship, you all are required to both register and present at the UCI Undergraduate Research Symposium, which takes place in May 2026. When you are awarded the Research Experience Fellowship, you are not automatically registered and enrolled for the Undergraduate Research Symposium. Therefore, you are all responsible for registering to present, and registration will open in winter 2026 and will be due in spring 2026. We will constantly send you folks messages, but we do want to put this in your radar. That way you are not surprised when the time comes. So again, no matter whether you get the Research Experience Fellowship or other recognition and funding opportunities, it is a requirement to present at the UCI Undergraduate Research Symposium. Speaking of the Undergraduate Research Symposium, the way in which you intend to present at the symposium should inform how you intend to apply to the Research Experience Fellowship. For example, you would apply as an individual if you are working on an independent project, or you are working on a group project but want to present independently at the symposium. The one thing about this, however, is that your work must have unique aims distinct from other group members that you can clearly articulate in your proposal. If you and your teammates are presenting on the exact same thing, then we would encourage you all to apply as a group. So if you are working as a group or want to present as a group, you can go ahead and do the group application. Again, like I mentioned earlier, if multiple group members are planning to submit the same proposal, you all should submit one group application instead of individual applications. Okay. In terms of REF awards, all awarded REF applicants become UROP fellows and receive recognition and benefits in the form of non-funded awards. So these benefits are the benefits I included earlier, which include the graduation core, the free research poster, access to the travel and publication award. In addition, you also have the career readiness skills. So career readiness skills, UROP fellow benefits. And one exciting thing as well is that REF applicants who need support for project-related supplies are able to apply for needs-based funding for up to $500. To be transparent, average funded awards typically range from $250 to $400. But upon selection as a UROP fellow, students who request funding will be notified if they received a non-funded award, meaning no money, or funded award. So the main goal of the Research Experience Fellowship is not to get money. The main goal is to become a UROP fellow, and if needed, you can apply for needs-based funding. And I do want to emphasize the phrase needs-based funding. So if you, for whatever reason, you cannot secure funding through your professor or through other external outlets, then I would say you qualify for this. But if you have access to pockets of money where you don't necessarily need support from us, we would say to not apply for the needs-based funding. And this same funding limit applies to both group and individual projects. So if you folks applied to the Research Experience Fellowship in previous years, there were different amounts, which is why it's always important to stay up to date with the most recent changes. Never go into the assumption of the Research Experience Fellowship based on your past experience. Always stay up to date and always go to our website and read the guides for the latest information. So for funding eligibility, for those who want to apply for needs-based funding, we will be prioritizing support investigator-initiated research over class and club projects. Well, what do I mean by this? So those who are eligible for funding are students enrolled in independent research units. So if you are in a 197, 199, honors, or also students whose project is not affiliated with a class or a club. So students whose research project is part of a class assignment or a club activity, unfortunately, you are not eligible to apply for funding. Rather, we encourage you folks to speak to folks at your home school for guidance on financial support. In terms of funding guidelines, we are requiring that folks have a maximum of one individual funding request. Students are also able to be part of one or more group projects that are requesting funding. And then the maximum amount of funding requests is $500. Please, please, please only request the amount that you need from your op to complete your project. Like I mentioned earlier, funding is very limited, so we try to support as many students as possible, but we can only do that if folks are being transparent in the amount that they actually need. And if you have a previously funded project, so if you've applied to the Research Experience Fellowship before, if you are interested in applying this quarter, you must have a proposal that is updated to include work that has already been done and include changes to the introduction, timeline, and budget. We don't want you to recycle the same exact proposal because for us, we want to see how you've progressed in the past year. So how do you prepare your application? We will be asking you folks for different sections of information. So the first one would be information about the undergraduate students. So if you are applying as a group, ensure that you have the names, the UCI emails, phone numbers, school, major, class level, expected graduation dates for all of the folks who are going to apply with you as a group. You will also need your information from your primary UCI faculty mentor. You will need their name, UCI email, school and department. And then if for whatever reason you do work with a graduate student who's on your team and you would like to inform them of your application, or maybe other faculty who are part of your lab or research opportunity, you have the optional fields to include your mentors in there. In terms of project information, we are requesting that you folks give us your project title, indicate if you're requesting funding. Again, it is not required of you to request funding because the goal, again, is to apply to become a Europe Fellow. And a benefit of that is to apply for needs-based funding if needed. That part is optional. You will also indicate if your project involves humans or animal subjects. You will indicate if your project fulfills a class requirement. And we will be asking you folks to indicate if you've been applying or are considering applying to the 2025 interdisciplinary research teams. This is another recognition and funding opportunity. So if you don't really know what that is or are not interested in that, you can disregard that point. But if you are applying to the interdisciplinary research teams, just make that note in your application as well. To officially apply to the Research Experience Fellowship, we are asking for three essential documents. The first one is a proposal, a personal statement, followed by the faculty mentor agreement. So I'll go ahead and go into these a little bit more detail right now. So some of you may have written a proposal before, maybe others have not. No worries, I will break it down for you right now. So, a proposal describes your project and should convince the reviewers of its significance and the need for funding if you are requesting it. It is very, very, very important that you ask your faculty mentor to review your proposal in enough time to make any revisions that they may suggest before you submit your application November 3rd. In your proposal, we do have core concepts that we would like for you to address. So, the first one would be your thesis, purpose, objective, and approach, followed by your responsibility. So how are you contributing to this research project? How are your group mates contributing if you are part of a group? What does the timeline look like? When do you intend to interview participants or When are you going to have conversations with your team, whatever that looks like for you, as well as references. And if you're requesting funding, we are asking you folks to justify why you need funding and how it will be used. There are limitations on expenses, so I will go ahead and detail that a little bit later. And it's also important that you include an itemized budget. A lot of times we get the question, okay, how many pages should I be writing? Have not listed a maximum page number here just because I don't want to limit you all. However, I do want to note that the page minimum for your proposal is 2 pages. Again, you're more than welcome to write more than 2 pages, but for our purposes, 2 pages is the minimum. You all get to decide what the maximum is. We also are requesting specific formatting options for your proposal. So at the very top of your header, we are asking that you name all of the undergraduate researchers and your faculty mentor. If you are not part of a team, then just include your name and your faculty mentor's name. We are requesting minimum 2 pages, but if you need to write more, that's okay. But make sure you do keep it concise. We want to make sure that those who are reading your application get to the point and are able to understand what it is that you're doing and why you're requesting money if you are choosing to do so. We also ask that your proposal is double spaced with 1-inch margins. Please use 11 point or larger type font. I would stick to the 11 to 12 range. As well as for font type, use Times New Roman, Calibri, Arial. Ensure that your document is 8.5 by 11. Submit it as a Microsoft Word file or PDF. So for folks who are in a group, please ensure that you are working on one proposal only collaboratively. We want to make sure that not one person is doing all of the work, but rather you are all working together. But you are only working on one proposal if you are part of a group. In addition to the proposal, we are also asking that you folks submit a personal statement. So a personal statement describes your relationship to the project in a concise and focused manner. So we are asking you in no more than 2 to 3 sentences to address these following areas. So address your interest and motivation, your personal connection to the project, your goals and impact, relevant background. In the past, personal statements were a couple of pages. This year, we are introducing and are asking you folks to write a maximum of 300 words. So this is a new change from years prior. If you are part of a group project, we're asking that each group member write a personal statement with 300 words maximum. So if you are part of a group project, please include all of your personal statements in one document with everybody's names. So we are asking again for 300 words maximum, spacing double spaced. Your margins are 1 inch all around, font size 11 to 12, and font type would be Times New Roman, Calibri, Arial, again, document size 8.5 by 11. And please submit this as a PDF or a Microsoft Word file. Okay. One important thing is if you've never written a personal statement before, we are hosting in collaboration with the Writing Center a personal statement workshop. This is where a Writing Center advisor will come in and will give you tips and tricks. And actually, I will go ahead and exit this real quick and give you folks the URL to register for this right now. I do highly encourage you folks to register for this. The Writing Center is a free resource for you all, and that's what they get paid to do, to give you feedback on your writing. Okay. So that is the Writing Center Personal Statement Workshop. We are only hosting one session with them. If you cannot attend, our goal is to record this session, but otherwise, you are also more than welcome to make an appointment with the Writing Center. We do inform Writing Center staff of what our expectations are for the Personal Statement Workshop, so you're more than welcome to give them our guidelines and give them a draft of your personal statement, and they can compare the two. And if you've never written a personal statement, the Writing Center can also help you with the brainstorming stages. So they can help you from beginning to brainstorm all the way to finalizing your personal statement. Cool. So this section right here is for those who are requesting funding. If you do not need the money, you can kind of tune out, or you can just pay attention in case folks have questions or maybe you're interested anyway. So for all REF recipients, again, you are applying with the goal of becoming a Europe Fellow. In addition, you have the opportunity to apply for needs-based funding. And this is for folks who cannot obtain funding from other sources. Again, the maximum award is $500 per project, whether it's an individual or group. And again, it's needs-based only, so available as additional support beyond the Europe Fellow recognition. In terms of funding, the money does not go directly to the students. Rather, the money is transferred to your mentor's school for project expenses. And this supports projects for up to 1 year or until graduation, whichever comes first. If you're requesting funding, just like I mentioned earlier, you must submit all funding information within your proposal. So earlier I said that there are limitations to what you can request funding for, so I will highlight those right now. So expenses that can be covered. If you are working with animals, for example, animals can be covered, chemicals, compensation for human subjects, so gift cards, copying, printing, facilities rentals, mailing, postage, mileage, presentation materials, reference materials, software, supplies. These are expenses that can be covered. However, what cannot be covered are items that can be borrowed for free or rented at a lower cost. Also, major hardware purchases. We cannot give salaries and stipends to compensate for project-related work, standard laboratory expenses, and travel expenses. So if there are things that are free here at UCI, for example, at the library, or you have access to cameras, laptops at the Science Library or the Langston Library as well, we want to ensure that you are all taking advantage of free resources on campus, and we would rather that you use your funding for expenses that cannot, that you typically cannot cover yourself, but are listed in the can be covered section here. When it comes to formatting the itemized budget, we are asking for a specific format. So we are asking that you type your item, your budgeted amount, your explanation and justification for the expense. And one thing that's really nice is that this year we did create a template for you on Google Sheets to help you keep track of the items you are requesting funding for. Let me actually go ahead and stop sharing real quick and let me pull that up for you. That way we are all on the same page. All right. All right, so this is the budget template sheet that we have made for the Research Experience Fellowship folks who are interested in applying. So one thing that's really nice is that this sheet, I will go ahead and zoom in a little bit. If you are adding any numbers in here, it will automatically total up for you. So here we go. And if you exceed the $500 maximum, it will be turned red. So what you can do as well is if you are writing your proposal, you can go ahead and copy and paste this into your Word document or Google Doc, which you will then download as a Microsoft Word. So we've made this really easy for you folks so that you can format your items in a nice and clean, concise way. Cool. So if you'd like to use that budget template, otherwise use your own, just make sure that you follow this format. Another document that we're requesting folks to submit is a faculty mentor agreement form. So it's very important that your faculty mentor is a UCI Academic Senate faculty. They would be able to serve as a faculty mentor on your UROP proposal. You will upload this completed form in your application. If you do not have this form in your application will be deemed as incomplete and will not be reviewed. It's super important that you do this early to avoid delays in your application process. Years prior, I have had students who have submitted everything, have everything complete, but the lack of an agreement form made students not be eligible for the Research Experience Fellowship. So if you are intending to apply to the Research Experience Fellowship, I would recommend sending that form to your professor now. Professors sometimes do take a while to get things back to you. So the sooner you do it, the better it is for you to make sure that your application is submitted on time. In this form, your faculty mentor will need to verify that they or their designee will do the following. They are stating that they will mentor you as a student researcher. They will review your proposal. They will also indicate if your project is following the Europe Research Protections instructions, so if you are working with humans or animal subjects. And if you are requesting funding, they are also reviewing your itemized budget and are saying if it is a reasonable budget for the project. One super important note, a question that we get asked a lot, is that only Senate faculty members may serve as faculty members. So if you have a graduate student, postdoc, adjunct faculty, research staff, or other non-Senate faculty, they unfortunately cannot serve as your primary faculty mentor. However, they can be designated by the faculty mentor on the form that they can assist you with the research. So on the paper, we need an actual academic Senate faculty name, but they can give a designee kind of like the power to mentor you as well. But we just need an academic senate faculty name on that form. We also want to ensure that if you are working with humans and animals, you are conducting ethical research. So if you are working with human subjects, have that conversation with your faculty mentor if you need IRB approval. So this is required for some types of human subject research. There are certain categories that qualify for exemption. It is important that you have that conversation with your faculty mentor. They are the ones that know your project best. The only thing that we can do at Europe is give you guidelines. In terms of these guidelines, it is up to you and your faculty mentor to look into what it is that you need for your project. And if you are working with animals, it is also important that you have that conversation with your faculty to ensure that you are good with the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee. So this is required for all animal research. There is no exemption for this. We want to ensure that there is humane treatment and care for these animals. All of this information that I shared today is in the Research Experience Fellowship Guide. So we have worked really hard in creating an application guide for you all that answers most, if not all, of your questions. It also has all of the important links that you need. So I will also share where this is. So this is our website, the europe.uci.edu. And if you go to opportunities up here, go to Europe Recognition and Funding. If you click the Research Experience Fellowship, it'll jump you here. This is where the application guide is. One thing that's super important as well is you can click Prepare Your Application. You can access the Faculty Mentor Agreement form here. This is what it looks like. You put your project title, student names. Your professor will check these off if they agree. They will certify your funding request as well as provide signatures. And then if you are kind of confused about the proposal, we also have sample proposals here. So we have sample proposals by school. So if you're part of the arts, we have those here. We also, if it has fall, that means that these were proposals for the Research Experience Fellowship. SERP is another recognition funding opportunity, but we have proposals for each school. I will say that not all of these proposals follow our guidelines. We have shifted guidelines every year. But just for you to get a sense of what a proposal looks like, I highly recommend looking at what we are asking for. Okay. But going back to, that's not what I wanted, the Research Experience Fellowship Guide. Click this here. This is a interactive guide. So we have a table of contents here that will jump to whatever section. So all of these sections is everything that I covered in the slide. So I will not be sharing the slides today because all of the information was pulled from this guide. And actually this guide provides more information in greater detail. So we have what a Europe Fellow is, and everything that is in blue and has this little icon means that it is clickable. So at the end, we do have a page that is dedicated with all the important links. So kind of like what I mentioned, formatting your proposal, personal statement, we go into more detail of what we're asking for. We also have a rubric on what we will be looking for as we read your personal statements, formatting, information about project funding requests, eligible expenses, the fellowship budget. We go into a lot of detail here. So everything that I went over today is included in this guide, but I would say the guide has more details. And here, and most importantly, we have all of the links. So you have the link for the template that I showed you. We have the definition of what an academic senate faculty is, in case you are curious. We have the official application for the Research Experience Fellowship here, the Europe Agreement form. If you've never heard of the symposium, we have a link here. Zotspot for the personal statement workshop, which I already shared in this chat. Everything here. And what's really nice is we also have a frequently asked questions section that will, these are common questions that we get every year. So we have these in here. That way, if you folks are curious, I highly recommend reading this first. If for whatever reason we did not answer your question, I then encourage you to ask. But please always read the guide first because, again, it'll answer most, if not all, of your questions. All right. So that does conclude the Research Experience Fellowship presentation. I do want to highlight that we have the Europe link tree, we have upcoming deadlines. So the Research Experience Fellowship is due on November 3rd, as well as the interdisciplinary research teams. We also have the Travel and Publication Award. This is, again, only exclusive to Europe Fellows. So if you are not a Europe Fellow yet, you will not be eligible for the Travel and Publication Award this time around. One good thing to note, though, is that the Travel and Publication Award is offered every quarter for fall, winter, and spring. Summer is not included in that. I also want to invite you all to the Project Pitch Challenge. So if you're interested in hearing what kind of research is taking place here on campus, we do have about 11 students who are going to compete to kind of talk about their research within 3 minutes. That is something very hard to do just because talking about your research and being concise with it is a skill that you do need to develop. I also want to encourage you folks to please give us feedback on this presentation. So today's information session was the first one of the quarter. So this is what the survey looks like. I will be dropping this link in the chat as well. Let's see. There you go. I do highly encourage you folks to complete the survey. We are always looking for ways to improve. We'll come back to this. So because this does conclude the content, I will be stopping our recording right now, and then I will be answering some of your questions.